I am again among the birds in the garden, hearing their dialogues. It's amazing how songs of birds are their conversations, and we hear them as songs. And perhaps when we play music, we also initiate conversations, but without words. I find it so beautiful not to be necessarily searching for the meaning of what we say, but for the music of the words, for the song of the birds who converse, but we don't know what. At least I don't. Probably others do. And I find it beautiful so. It's like daily poetry. The quality of the chosen word, or in music, la note choisie, the chosen note. The sound of the word in terms of how the vowels and consonants connect and combine and blossom together. And of course, you can recite a poem for the purpose of the words, but also for the sound of the words. Sometimes I like to think that the piano talks rather than sings, especially if it's a thematic, motivic material for a fugue, for instance. It's a speech that is cloned to become many speeches that develop out of this initial one. And I find that we all perceive differently the meaning of a modulation, the choice of a tonality, the reason for which a piece fits in our soul just because it's the way it is. Obviously, it's a given. We're not going to ask the dead composer to rewrite it. Even if we would like to, then we have to write our own. And that's no more the same, inevitably. But there's a kinship with the pieces you play or you learn or you study or you teach, obviously, in my case. You learn them too, actually, when you teach, but that's another philosophic fact. I just want to say that I find profoundly humbling to wake up every day and try to help a student realize what is the meaning, storytelling, if any, and perhaps none, perhaps only what it says by itself. Sonata, a fantasia, a ballade, an etude is. And sometimes that speech quality um, is almost disturbing in the piano when you have a thematic material that Beethoven does that a lot with the repeated notes. There's a smooth sign, logo of his, so to say, slogan of his, the willingness to happen, the will of man over nature, as so in general, the chaos of nature. And then you get almost questioned deeply by some melodic line. Scriabin's fantasy, the second theme is to cry for. Um, so is the G minor melody from the Saint-Saëns concerto. They enter in us and then they leave us, for those of us who vibrate to them, like undeletable, unbelievably strong imprint in our souls. And I find that this melodic quality, spoken musical, unwordly mentioned music, it nests in our psyche, and then we deal with it for the rest of our life, and we say, oh God, I love that theme, or oh my God, this drives me crazy, or oh, I find this so touching or so moving, the second theme of this, the first theme of that. And it's not only for the work itself, which of course, but it's for the extract, the melodic few notes the thematic notes, repeated notes like in Beethoven very often, but not always. Beautiful leaps of melodic intervals like the sixth above, from Bach onwards and before Bach, of course, but to all expression of human nature's feelings, hopes, angst, and desires. When you hear do, la, sol, fa, the lifting of the minor six, hugging the perfect fifth is an appoggiatura that you go into instead of going right to the note. So you delay the sol by going to la, do, la, sol, fa. And if you want to be more expressive, you go do, do, and then si, la, sol, fa. Go back to where you were attempting to go the first time. So is it delay tactics? Not only. I think the intervals, melodically speaking, are very emotionally driven. The fourth and the fifth being perfect don't give us not a lot of mood feeling, but the sixth and the third, major or minor combined, woohoo! That is very sensitive terrain for our vibrating soul to the piece. Generally, that's what minor is a mode. Half major in ascending minor, fully minor modal through the descending minor with the flat seven, or then the harmonic minor with the augmented second, melodically in Arabic or Turkish music, but harmonically in most tonal music is a 6-5 and then 7-1, and not always 6-7, that augmented second that is so emotionally driven by the fact that it's extended from the step or half step. It's a 3 half steps or step and a half. Why do we attach such an importance to the storytelling of a melodic interval without even to be sung with words? I find that fascinating. As if music reaches us our depth of being. We don't realize how much, and we don't know how to describe it. But we just say, I like it, or it moves me, or God, I would like to hear that again, or I would like to hear that at a specific moment important of my life, as if you associate music to a certain kind of, in fact, soundtrack of your own life. And then you discover more pieces you didn't know that might make you feel the same, or you repeat the ones that you already know through recordings or whistling or trying to play it, regardless which way. But it has to live with you, just like this beautiful garden of lights and shadows and leaves. It creates a mood, an atmosphere. It'll be different in the fall without much leaves, in the winter completely bare, and then we'll associate it, by symbolism, to old age and death, and then rebirth in the spring. Okay, that's very obvious, not very original to mention. Everybody experiences this kind of sense of rebirth after the death and all that through the nature cycles. But it is good to reflect upon the fact that a given interval can mean so much in our psyche, in our inner life. We don't even have to explain it, or we can't actually most of the time. We just receive it like a beautiful gift that moves us, like a beautiful poem, beautiful to the eye of the beholder, of course, statement or saying or storytelling, a nursery song. In fact, there is no rule for what moves us through a musical interval. The birds sing. Mi do do, mi do do, mi flat do do, mi flat do do. If I'm not half step too high in my lost perfect pitch. Could have been BDD, BDD. Or DBB rather, RSCC, RSCC. Can never solfege in English. My brain doesn't compute it at that age. But it's DBB, DBB. Doesn't like me. Saying, who's trying to sing my pitch? That's my leitmotif. Some intruder is here among us, says this bird, perhaps. Oh, silly me. Oh, sole mio, silly mio. There you go. I can't whistle. Medodo, medodo. Where are you? In these tall branches somewhere? Fly high. You see, more and more birds come to sing and express something, whatever this appoggiatura is. Yeah. Slightly glissando. Yes. B flat, B flat. Yes, I told you, B flat bird. L'oiseau si bémol. Whatever it's saying. Oh, it's talking to another one, not to me. Of course, the world doesn't turn around me. I'm aware of that since my mom died. Before I was the center of her world. Yeah. It's so nice to have the sun rays caress my bald head. It feels like some maternal taking care of before the cold weather hits in again, yet again. And I think that if all composers have written music about the seasons of life in my case, but sometimes just of the seasons, like the ultra famous Vivaldi or Tchaikovsky, who wrote 12 months of the year. It must be that the idea of seasons is consistent inspiration for composers. The passing of time, I guess, more than just the passing of weather and all that analogy that connects to all these weather situations. What can I say? Nothing more than they said. And they said it so well. No wonder Vivaldi's seasons is, ooh, the piece for the weather. But you know, thankfully, we come from the earth and we return to it philosophically and actually physically. We constantly look up to the sky. We constantly look up. It was something that magnetically connects us to an inspiration from something that extracts us from the ground. The ground is fertile, the ground gives us life, and the sky gives us hope, perhaps, besides light and various elements. I'm convinced that music is related to the human condition, from the bird songs to the wooden situations on which first people were probably making drum noises. You wonder which was first, the rhythm or the melody? Perhaps both, but perhaps the drum. The rhythm first. Just listening to all these birds is so inspiring. Who knows what they're saying, and ultimately we will never know. Oh, I'm sure there are famous people like Messiaen who developed a catalogue of birds from exotic places for a composition. Clément Jeannequin wrote Le Chant des Oiseaux, already in pre-Renaissance times. Potential singers. And its pattern of the bird song is incredibly repetitive, as if they already knew what is to become through their influence, evidently, minimalism in music. Pew, 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 pew. Every some seconds they reproduce that sound. So it must be a system of calling another bird or preventing other birds from something that they are aware of. Perhaps it's all about warning signs, ultimately. And when I look at how the tree is building its life around my deck and is spreading its wings and therefore, metaphorically rather, its branches all the way to the sky, is impressive. And about us humans finding nature beautiful, it's just what it is, but we think it's beautiful in the eye of the beholder. Like artwork, except it's not artificial, is the true thing. It's not an artificial reincarnation of a mood of a garden in a piece of music. It's not about recreating, it is being in it. And is it? Inspired so many composers to express their inspiration of true nature. Isn't nature the ultimate instrument? It is. Inspirational, reflective, and at the same time full of reminiscence of other seasons. It seems to be the philosophical tool to think the time as the time is passing and the seasons are leaving. Capture the moment. Yeah, seize the moment, carpe diem.